Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I'm going to tell you something that no one else is brave enough to tell you. Stop chasing women. Stop wasting your time trying to win attention, trying to be liked, trying to impress people who haven't done a single thing to earn your energy. Because here's the truth. Let's cut through the noise. The moment you start chasing women, you are subconsciously telling yourself that you're not enough. You're telling your mind and your body that your life is somehow incomplete unless you gain the approval, attention, or affection of someone outside yourself. That mindset is toxic, not just for your confidence, but for your future. See, here's how your brain works. Whatever you focus on expands. That's not just self-help talk, it's neuroscience. Your brain has a filtering system called the reticular activating system, RAS, and its job is to bring your attention to what you've been emotionally charged to care about. If you obsessively think about women, dating, texting, DMing, getting a reply, or how you're going to impress her, guess what your RAS will prioritize? Exactly that. That means your brain starts filtering the world through a lens of chase mode. You stop noticing opportunities for growth, skill development, income, health, or peace because your brain is too busy being on high alert for the next dopamine hit from female attention. And that, my friend, is how boys think. That is not how a man thinks, because men of value, men with standards, men with vision, men with purpose, they don't chase anything, they build, they grow, and by doing that, they attract. Think about it. Do you ever see lions chasing mice? No, they sit in strength, patience, and power. They go after things that are worthy of their time, their energy, their hunt. That's exactly what your mindset should be. Now, I know someone reading this might say, but Mel, what if I want love? What if I want connection? And that's great. We all do, but you need to understand order. Love, relationships, respect, these are not goals you chase. They are byproducts of alignment, progress, and purpose. If your life is full of chaos, insecurity, distraction, and aimlessness, then chasing a woman is not going to fix that. In fact, it's going to magnify your brokenness. You don't become more attractive by trying harder to impress people. You become more attractive by impressing yourself, by putting your head on your pillow at night, knowing you did what needed to be done. That you kept your word, that you built something even if it was small that moved you forward. That's what confidence is. That's what power is. And here's a hard truth you need to hear. If you have time to chase women, you are not working hard enough on yourself. Period. If you are fully committed to your vision, your routine, your body, your finances, your mission, you don't have time to chase. You don't even have energy for it, because your life becomes so full that the only people who can enter it must match that standard. You won't settle for average anymore in women or in yourself. And the irony, when you stop chasing and you start building, everything you thought you needed to pursue starts coming to you. The women who once ignored you suddenly see your worth not because you got lucky, but because you leveled up. They don't see a guy who's desperate for attention. They see a man who has something going on, a man with direction, with certainty, and with boundaries. Because let's not confuse confidence with arrogance. True confidence is not loud, it's not flashy, it doesn't need to prove anything, it just is. You walk different, you speak different. You carry yourself with a quiet force that says, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I don't need anyone's permission to become great. That is what attracts everything, not just women, but money, mentors, opportunities, and peace. You have to shift the paradigm. Life is not about proving your worth to others. It's about proving your potential to yourself. And every day that you choose to focus on people over purpose, you delay your growth by one more day. You push greatness just a little further out of reach. And for what? A number, a like, a moment of attention, no more. You want to win, then do what winners do. They work in silence. They build in private. And they let the results speak for them. So stop chasing, start building, stop texting people who don't respond, start writing down your goals, stop worrying about if she likes you, start asking if you like who you're becoming. Because when you stop chasing and you shift that energy back into becoming, you unlock a version of you that is unstoppable, and that's the version the world needs, that's the version you need. Let her chase you not because you're playing a game, but because you're finally too focused on building the life you were born for. Every result you're getting in your life right now, whether it's in relationships, career, confidence, health, or happiness, is tied directly to how you see yourself. Your identity drives your thoughts, your habits, your decisions, and ultimately your outcomes. And if your identity is built around needing women to feel valuable, desirable, or validated, then you're not building yourself. You're building a version of you that's dependent on outside approval. That's why chasing women never works in the long run. Even if you get the girl, you're still the same man underneath. You haven't upgraded who you are, you've just temporarily escaped from your own insecurity. You've put a band-aid on a wound that only inner work can heal. Let me tell you what most people never realize: you don't get what you want. You get what you believe you are. That's why some men can walk into a room, say very little, and still command attention. And why others can chase, flatter, DM, compliment, and try hard, and still get ignored. It's not about tactics, it's about identity. So let me ask you a real question. Who are you when no one's watching? Are you the man who does what he says he's going to do? Are you disciplined? Are you growing every day, even if it's just 1%? Because if the answer is no, then that's the root of the problem. It's not women. It's not dating. It's not society. It's that you're still building your life around trying to feel valuable instead of actually becoming valuable. There's a huge difference between those two. One path is external. It's needy, it's unstable, and it constantly chases attention to avoid facing hard truths. The other path is internal. It's quiet, powerful, and resilient. It focuses on doing the work, building skills, mastering discipline, and shaping a future that has nothing to do with being accepted, and everything to do with being aligned. When you build your identity on who you are becoming, not who notices you, everything changes. You stop playing games, you stop asking how to impress, you stop being afraid of rejection. Why? Because your worth no longer comes from others. It comes from your progress. You see, a man on a mission doesn't need permission. He's not out here wondering how to get people to like him. He's too busy becoming someone he respects. And here's the real beauty of it: when you become that man, the one who is consistent, grounded, focused, and growing, you naturally begin to attract the kind of people who match that frequency. You don't chase women. You attract women who recognize value. You don't force relationships. You build a life so aligned that only the right people fit in. And if no one shows up for a while, that's okay. Because when your identity is tied to your mission, your solitude becomes your strength. You're not lonely. You're in training. You're not missing out. You're leveling up. Too many men tie their worth to their dating success. But here's a truth bomb. If you need a woman to feel like a man, you're not one yet. Masculinity isn't found in conquest. It's found in character. Build your identity around things that cannot be taken from you. Your discipline, your mindset, your resilience, your skill set, your purpose. Women can come and go. So can money, friends, likes, jobs, or followers. But who you become, that stays, that evolves, that multiplies. So stop asking, how can I get her to like me? Start asking, what am I doing every day to become the man I said I'd be? Here's what that man looks like. He gets up early even when he's tired. He puts the phone down and picks up his goals. He delays gratification. He sets boundaries. He says no to short-term dopamine and yes to long-term purpose. He doesn't need anyone to believe in him because he believes in himself. That's the man women respect. That's the man people follow. And that's the man you are capable of becoming if you stop outsourcing your confidence to people who don't even know your potential. So let's be clear. You don't need to be more charming. You don't need a pickup line. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to do the hard internal work of shifting your identity from needy to secure, from chasing to building, from lost to laser focused. Once you become a man who is anchored in self-respect and purpose, you won't feel the urge to chase anything ever again. Why? Because deep down you'll know you are the prize, not because you said it, but because you proved it. To yourself first, and that right there is the shift that changes everything. There's one thing you have that you can never get back once it's gone your time. And if you're spending that time chasing women, waiting on replies, stressing over whether she viewed your story or liked your post, then let me be blunt with you. You are wasting your life. You're not just wasting minutes. You're wasting opportunities. Every second you're locked into that cycle of seeking attention, validation, or acceptance from women who probably aren't even thinking about you, is a second you could have been building your future. Growing your business, developing your mind, strengthening your body, creating the life you dream about. Let me tell you something that's going to sting a little. Your obsession with women is the reason you're stuck. You're not tired, you're distracted. You're not unmotivated, you're misfocused. You don't lack discipline, you're just giving your discipline away to things that do nothing to move your life forward. And I get it, we're all human. We crave connection, intimacy, excitement. But that craving turns into a problem when it becomes your priority, when it eats up your mornings, your attention span, your energy, your productivity. And that's what most guys don't realize. Every time you give energy to chasing women, you take energy away from your mission. Time is a currency, and you're spending it like you've got a limitless supply. But you don't. You're not getting any younger. The hours you waste can't be returned, and one day, whether it's next year or 10 years from now, you're going to look back and wish you had used those same hours to become something greater. To build, to invest, to evolve. So let me ask you a question. What if you stopped? What if, instead of checking her Instagram for the 5th time today, you opened a book and learned something that changed the direction of your life? What if you stopped worrying about how to impress her and started figuring out how to impress yourself? What if all the time you spent texting, swiping, overthinking, and chasing was redirected into lifting, studying, meditating, building, or executing? Do you know how powerful you'd become? Do you understand how far ahead of the game you'd be in 1 year, in 6 months, in 90 days? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not where you want to be because of how you've been spending your time. And most of that time, if you're honest, is going to distractions that feel good in the moment but rob you in the long run. Look, there's a season for everything, a season for love, for partnership, for romance. But if you're not established yet, if you're still trying to figure yourself out, still grinding to build something meaningful, then this is not the season to chase women. This is the season to chase excellence, to chase growth, to chase mastery, because let me tell you something. When you become excellent, when your life starts reflecting discipline, progress, and vision, the right women will notice. You won't have to chase them. Your energy, your results, your consistency will speak for you, and the kind of women you attract when you're focused, totally different than the ones you attract when you're desperate. When you're chasing, you attract people who see you as a source of attention, not as a leader, not as a partner. But when you build yourself into someone who is clear, confident, and composed, you attract quality. People who align with your values, people who match your standards, but that only happens after you stop letting time slip through your fingers. So here's what you do. Audit your time. Look at the past 7 days. How many hours did you spend chasing, waiting, wondering, obsessing? Now imagine that time was reinvested into your business, your health, your peace of mind. Then decide right now that you're not going to waste another second on things that don't pay you back. From this day forward, you protect your time like your life depends on it, because it does. The life you want won't build itself. The man you're capable of becoming won't magically appear. You have to earn it. And that means making different decisions with your hours, your minutes, and your focus. And don't confuse this with bitterness. This isn't about avoiding women. This is about prioritizing your evolution over your impulses. This is about choosing legacy over lust, vision over vanity, purpose over distraction. It's about understanding that you're not here to chase, you're here to create. So the next time you feel the urge to chase, stop. Take a breath, open your journal, look at your goals, then ask yourself, will this move me forward? And if the answer is no, walk away, because your time is too valuable, your mission is too important. And your future deserves better than the habits that have been holding you back. Let's get something straight right now. Confidence doesn't come from compliments. It doesn't come from women liking your photos. It doesn't come from someone texting you first, laughing at your jokes, or telling you you're attractive. That kind of validation feels good for a moment, sure, but it disappears just as fast as it arrives. It's hollow, temporary, it doesn't build real confidence, it builds addiction. Real, unshakable confidence, the kind that follows you into any room, any situation, and any challenge, doesn't come from other people. It comes from one place, your progress. You want to feel better about yourself. You want to walk taller, speak louder, look people in the eyes and know you belong. Then stop chasing people and start chasing results. Because confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not some magical trait a few lucky people inherit. It's something you build, you earn, you forge. And the only way to do that is by doing the work every single day when no one's clapping for you, when no one sees it, when no one's giving you attention for it. Let me tell you something, the men who glow with self-assurance, the men who don't need to prove themselves, they're not acting. They've done the reps, they've faced their own excuses, they've gotten up early, they've pushed through discomfort, they've kept promises to themselves when no one else was watching. That's what creates internal pride, and internal pride is the birthplace of confidence. You don't gain confidence by asking people to like you. You gain confidence by liking who you are becoming, and it's not just about big wins. Confidence doesn't require you to have everything figured out. What it does require is momentum, small wins, daily discipline. You build confidence every time you show up for yourself, every time you do the hard thing instead of the easy one. That workout you didn't want to do. That builds confidence. That book you forced yourself to read instead of scrolling. That builds confidence. That business move you made even though you were scared. That builds confidence. But when you chase women, when you rely on someone else's attention to feel good about yourself, you give your power away. You're outsourcing your self-worth to something you can't control. And the truth is, you will never be confident if your value depends on how someone else sees you. Let that sink in. If your identity shifts based on whether or not she replies, whether or not she wants to hang out, whether or not she compliments your appearance, then you're building your confidence on sand. One gust of wind and it all comes crashing down. You don't need her to validate you. You need to validate yourself through action, through consistency, through proof. Let me break it down for you. A man who keeps promises to himself. That's confidence. A man who shows up on hard days, not just motivated days. That's confidence. A man who isn't afraid to fail because he knows failure means growth. That's confidence. A man who can look in the mirror and say, I did what I said I'd do. That's bulletproof. This isn't about ego. This isn't about arrogance. This is about showing up as the most grounded version of yourself, the version that doesn't need to be the loudest in the room, because your results speak for you. And you want to know something ironic? When you stop chasing women and start building real confidence through progress, women notice. Not because you're chasing them, but because your energy shifts, your posture shifts. You move through the world differently, you radiate certainty, and certainty is attractive way more than trying hard ever could be. But again, this isn't about getting women. That's not the goal. The goal is becoming a man who doesn't need anything external to feel complete. The goal is building a life, a mindset, and a foundation so strong that anything else is just a bonus, not a necessity. Because confidence built on progress can't be taken from you. It doesn't fade when people leave. It doesn't break when you get rejected. It doesn't crack under pressure. It's yours, you earned it, and no one can undo that. So if you're sitting there wondering why you still feel insecure, still feel empty, still feel like you're not enough, stop looking out there. Start looking in here and ask yourself, what am I building today that makes me proud tomorrow? Confidence is built by doing the hard things over and over, not because you have to prove anything, but because that's who you've chosen to become. That's the shift, that's the move, that's the power. Confidence doesn't come from people, it comes from progress, and starting right now, you have the power to create both. Let's talk about leadership, not leadership in business or politics. I'm talking about the most important kind, self-leadership. Because if you can't lead yourself, you'll never be able to lead anyone else. You can't expect respect from others if you don't respect yourself, and chasing women, that's the opposite of leadership. It's a form of emotional dependency disguised as ambition. Men who lead themselves don't chase. They attract, they don't beg, they build, they don't wait for approval, they decide. Self-leadership is about holding yourself to a higher standard even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. You know what that means. It means doing what needs to be done even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're tired, even when it would feel easier to distract yourself with a text, a scroll, or the next maybe she'll like me moment. That's not strength, that's escapism, that's immaturity. You want to be a man who commands attention, not one who constantly tries to earn it. Then you better learn to lead yourself first, your habits, your discipline, your emotions, your environment, your direction, because until you take responsibility for all of that, you're just drifting. And drift will always lead you into weakness, into chasing what feels good instead of doing what's right. Every time you chase a woman, you lower your standards. You say to the world, her validation is more important than my purpose. You say, her time is more valuable than mine. You signal that your emotional stability is up for grabs, and you hand it to someone who didn't even ask for it. That's not strength, that's not masculinity, that's not leadership. But when you flip the script, when you become the kind of man who leads himself with structure, discipline, and vision, everything changes. You stop reacting, you start directing. You don't wait for life to give you permission to level up, you give it to yourself. Let me tell you something. A man who leads himself is dangerous in the best way. Not because he's aggressive, but because he's focused. He knows who he is, he knows what he wants, and most importantly, he knows what he won't tolerate. He doesn't need to explain himself. His consistency does that. He doesn't need to chase women. His presence does the attracting. He doesn't need to prove anything. His results do the talking. And here's the kicker: the women you actually want, the hive, you mature, emotionally intelligent kind. They're not attracted to men who chase. They're attracted to men who lead. Because women are biologically and emotionally drawn to men who carry themselves with certainty and control, not boys who constantly seek validation. So if you're serious about becoming that kind of man, the kind who doesn't get pushed around by urges, distractions, or emotions, then you have to start with ownership. Radical ownership. Own your schedule. Own your standards, own your mindset, own your habits, own your growth, and stop blaming women for your frustration. It's not them, it's not dating apps, it's not society, it's you. It's the part of you that keeps waiting for someone else to make you feel good, instead of getting to work on becoming the version of yourself that you admire. Because once you respect yourself, you won't tolerate wasting time. You won't settle for inconsistency. You won't compromise your mission for temporary pleasure. You'll know your value not in theory, but in action. That's what real leadership looks like. It's not loud. It's not boastful. It's quiet, disciplined, grounded, and powerful, and it changes everything: your relationships, your finances, your health, your peace. The moment you decide to lead yourself, to act with purpose, to live with intention, to stop outsourcing your worth, is the moment your life starts moving forward. No more waiting, no more chasing, no more reacting, just action, just alignment. This isn't about becoming cold or emotionally distant. It's about emotional control. You don't need to kill your emotions. You need to master them. You don't ignore your desires. You prioritize your principles. You don't avoid connection. You choose connection with boundaries. Because when you lead yourself first, you don't just become attractive to others, you become magnetic. Unshakable, focused, fulfilled. So let me leave you with this. Stop looking for someone to follow. Stop hoping someone shows up to complete you. You are the one you've been waiting for. Lead your damn self, and everything else, success, respect, love, will follow. So here we are. After everything we've covered, the truth couldn't be more clear. You were not put on this earth to chase women. You were put here to build, to grow, to lead, and to become the man you were meant to be. Every time you chase, you give your power away. Every time you seek validation, you weaken your identity. Every time you let women, attention, or approval dictate your mood, you delay your evolution. It's not about hating women. It's not about avoiding relationships. It's about getting your priorities straight. It's about becoming so focused, so driven, and so self-respecting that anything not aligned with your mission becomes background noise. This is your wake-up call. Stop scrolling. Stop simping. Stop wasting your potential. You want love. Love yourself through discipline. You want respect. Earn it through action. You want attraction. Create it by leading yourself first. Because here's the truth most men never hear. When you stop chasing and start becoming, when you stop obsessing and start building, when you stop trying to impress her and start impressing yourself, you don't just attract women. You attract everything: success, confidence, purpose, peace, and yes, the right kind of love too. But by that time, you won't need it to feel whole. You'll be whole already. So from this moment forward, make the decision. Choose yourself, choose growth, choose greatness, because the most powerful man in any room is the one who leads himself, and that man is you if you're ready to claim it. Let's go. Fire.